Just giving a warning, there is cussing on this episode.
There's a difference between a good thing and a God thing. And that goes back to you talking about purpose. There's a difference between doing things that are fine and well and on the path to alignment and your purpose.
What do you do when a thing that used to define you, the track, the title, the identity, disappears overnight? When you were on a full-ride athletic scholarship at a top ACC school, but then suffered a career-ending injury that left you feeling isolated. Cidni went from elite athlete at NC State to an unexpected injury. But instead of folding, dropping out of school, all the negative things you can think of, she evolved. If you ever wonder what it means to grieve the sport but not lose yourself, this one's for you. You're listening to Still an Athlete Podcast, a space where former athletes share how they were able to find their purpose after feeling lost when they walked away from their sport. I'm Dominique Wilson, the podcast host for this show. I started this show because I know how lonely and, honestly, how depressing it can feel when being an athlete is no longer your identity and you're left thinking, what now? Each week, we talk to people who've turned grief into purpose and why being a former athlete is your superpower. Today's guest is someone I've loved and admired for over a decade. She's family to me. She's a sister to me. Let's get into it. Hey, all right, technology. No.
It is.
Hey, okay, I'm just going to dish your highlights. So we went through high school, graduated from NC State, go Pack with a bachelor's of art, BA psychology, right? 2013 through 2017. Then you did like sales development representative, leasing specialist, solution specialist, practice development manager, women's health, integrated marketing specialist, music. And then you have your own podcast, Stylingastorypod with Brianna, or is it Brianna? Brianna. And she has her own social media agency and another super successful woman in Durham, North Carolina. How did you meet?
So
What is that?
She went to state too.
She went to state too.
She went to state. But we got more connected after state. So I'm trying to think of how we like reconnected. Really just through my network at state. So like I would be hanging out with y'all, but then my like more civic stuff that I was doing on campus, I was connecting with other people. So honestly, the same way I kind of was hanging with the athletes, social things would happen and I would connect that way. So we have mutual friends that, you know, really connected us. So it's just one big old pot at NC State.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder if I met her. I don't know. Like you said, it was so many people at NC State, but small freaking world. But yeah, so, you know, like you ran track. You always hanged out with us as a basketball team. I played basketball. I, you know, had the privilege of being able to play whole first season, even though I tore my meniscus going to senior year. Yeah. But you had like a career-ending injury when you got to college. But I guess where I'm transitioning to is just like, how was that for you? What state of mind were you in? And then how were you able to continue to just keep going to classes? And I always tell people, every time I see you have like a smile on your face, how are you able to keep that smile while I know you were going through a hard time during it?
Honestly, it was rough. Like I blew my knee out senior year. My first surgery was like a small meniscal tear my sophomore year of high school, but senior year I tore my ACL, LCL, and meniscus at the same time. I was box jumping and we had like these graduated boxes in the grass, and I was it was girls and guys that were both using the boxes. So literally my coach was like, all right, kid, you know, you got one more round of these and then I need you over at the pit. This is
one more.
That's it. I had one more, and then I was gonna do approaches, and this was like late October, November, like right before my 18th birthday. Like this is my senior year. So I jumped and I landed a hole, and all you hear is pow. And my coach is like on the other side of the track, and he just goes like this. And my teammates are like, yo, what just happened? Because I dropped immediately. And I had on tights, and I had a sleeve on my knee because I kind of tweaked it at practice maybe a couple weeks before that. Nothing major. You know, I had been icing it, going to the cold tank, nothing crazy. But it tore all of that through a sleeve. Done. So I hobble to the track out of the grass, and I immediately like try to drop down and like slide my tights off, and then I just see my knee just going like this. It was huge.
Yeah.
But at the time, like my brain didn't even process I tore my ACL, because like, you know, running track, you like, that's a football injury, that's a basketball injury. That's something that happens from a jab step or getting just hit directly at me. I'm not thinking what I'm doing. And you also got to think I'm in crazy shape. Like we weight train, we do all these things. So my body is built to handle the pressure of like landing.
Yeah.
I jump. So my brain just isn't even processing ACL. At no point processing ACL.
Yeah.
A couple weeks pass. At this time, I'm like getting ready for the debutante ball, like just all kinds of high school stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I was getting my hair done, and I'm in the salon chair. My mom calls me. This is like a couple weeks after my MRI, because you know how injuries are. It takes some time to get your results back.
Yeah.
And so this is like right around Thanksgiving at this point. And she's like, hey, how does your knee feel? And I'm like, I mean, it kind of feels like when I heard it sophomore year, a little more painful. Like, I don't know, like I can walk. I guess I'm fine. And she was like, she paused, she got quiet. She was like, you tore your ACL. And I didn't hear nothing else after that. Like when you're watching movies and somebody gets some bad news and they just blank out, that's real.
Yeah.
Body just totally shuts down. I like immediately drop my head. I'm crying because my senior year's done. I never worried about college. You know, signing day ain't till February. This is November.
Yeah.
So I'm like, my what? My career over. Because at that time, this is what, 2012? At that time, ACL, like this when RG3 done tore his mess, this when Derrick Rose done tore his mess, like all these major athletes, you're done for at least a year.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to have graduated and I had a senior season. So it took a serious toll on me. And I think I started, after surgery, I started rehab immediately. Like a day after I had surgery, I was in the orthopedic office, you know, just doing like heel slides and trying to get my mobility back. I atrophied because I sat for like 3 weeks. So I lost everything in my left leg. Like it was crazy. And then to get to college, I worked myself through my season. I didn't compete because I was trying to prepare for college. I was able to sprint before I graduated.
Okay.
Because I was not playing any games. I was like, I have to go into NC State strong. Like, I got my signing day. I knew that how I wanted to perform. And I was like, I don't want to take no chances competing at the high school level. I want to secure my spot. So I still got a partial to go to NC State. I was going to get a full ride. But after injury, it was like, they won't take no chances. So, because I was slated to jump 40 feet in triple and 20 feet in long. I was like scratching 40s at practice before my.
Can you like explain how good that is? Because you know I didn't do that.
So like long jump, for most people, like they can process long jump. It's that you sprint down a runway. There's one board, and then you jump off that board. So for high school athletes, for girls, like if there were girls jumping 16, 17 feet, that was considered pretty good. I could jump by my scene. Before I got hurt, like I could jump 19 feet.
So you was out here flying.
Yeah. I was jumping 18, could jump 19 feet. That year I would have broke 20 had I competed. And then triple jump, a little more complicated. So there's like there's 3 different boards, but they're at different lengths. So for the long jump board, it's maybe like 8 feet from the pit. The triple jump board can be anywhere from 28 feet to 36 feet from the pit.
Okay.
I normally jumped in high school. I was jumping from like a 32 or a 34 foot board. All high schools didn't have the same board lengths, so you had to see what it was when you got there.
Okay.
And before I got hurt, I was averaging like between 37.9, 38.4. But at practice, I started scratching like 40 feet, which is crazy because in college, if a girl is jumping like 42, 44 feet, she nasty. So to be in high school, if you can jump 40 feet in high school, you get a full ride.
Well, she's basically telling us that she was nasty.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Like this got cut off a little soon. So
yeah,
I was training through practice for college. So I was able to sprint before I graduated, which was amazing because I literally like recovered in 6 months versus a year. I was just super dedicated because I knew what my coaches had put into me in high school, and I knew what I was trying to do in college. Yeah. I get to school. I had a challenging dynamic with the coach because he thought, he kind of treated me like he got damaged goods. So he was doing things to basically test if I was good enough. Mind you, I still needed some time to continue to recover. So what happens? I get hurt again.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I'm pretty sure going into that, your mental health wasn't all the way like healthy too. So just adding a coach that's treating you like he could just throw you.
Like he was trying to, basically, again, like I said, treated me like he got the short end of the stick. So he was riding me a lot harder in fall training than was necessary. I had teammates that had ran summer track that were getting a break because I wanted them fresh for the season, but he wasn't doing that for me. So even like certain exercises that I had no business doing because it just wasn't necessary for my events, like doing a whole lot of lateral movement. You don't do anything lateral for a track. Yeah. I'm not a football player. So I'm scissor jumps, I'm doing stuff side to side, and it's wearing me out way faster than necessary instead of just making sure that I'm building muscle, through like, just like any other sport, you're going to train, you're going to weight train, you're going to do some endurance training. He had me doing stuff I really didn't need to do. And so I tore my medial and lateral meniscus my freshman year before I could start my season. So I had the red shirt. Now you're talking about mental health just going crazy at that point because I'm like, bro, what you mean I got to get another surgery? I did all that work to get to school, pushing myself. And I was training with my teammates. We didn't start fall training until September. I was training in August.
Yeah.
With my teammates from high school. Our coach had us out there at NC State's track, running the grass, doing hills, doing all types of stuff, just really, really trying to build. And when as September started, he was like, oh, no, I want you doing this. I want you doing that. I want you doing that. And I'm like, can I modify? Because I really don't want to do anything that's going to mess with my knee unnecessarily. Like I'm still building. And he was like, oh, I mean, if you a college athlete, you can do it like that in front of my teammates that were like seniors, so I'm sitting there like, damn, if I don't do it, what does that make me look like? So I'm going to do it. I got hurt again.
Crazy.
Got hurt again.
And you need a physical therapist or anyone to like advocate for you?
I was in the training room every day, and I did. She ended up transferring to Central after my freshman year. Her name was Caroline. And you remember Caroline? You remember Caroline? Or did y'all have different trainers?
Yeah, a different one.
That's true. Because y'all was at the Dale instead of WB. So her name was Caroline. She was dope. She was by my bedside when I had my last knee surgery, and she was at his head for making me do stuff that I didn't need to do. And she was pissed when I got hurt again. Fussed him out right there on the track. Yeah. And she was like, I tried to tell you, she was fine. We had her as far as rehabbing her and getting her to where she needed to be. She was going to be prepared for the season. She need to do all that. Now that's got to get another surgery.
Right.
So,
and it's so, I don't want to say it's so easy, but it will be easy for you in that moment to start being negative towards your coaches, towards your teammates, towards everyone. But instead, when I seen you, you were walking around with a smile on your face.
I had to, man. I was going through a lot, but I just didn't, I don't know. Like, there was a part of me that was like really messed up. Like, my grades were suffering to an extent because then I'm crutching around campus. And you know how big our campus was. Like,
and the only people that did this part was the men.
And then with the college egg, I was on the 4th floor trying to go downstairs because it was like 2 weeks the elevator stopped working. I was like, how am I supposed to get to class?
Yeah.
So it was a lot. I just think that I don't know. I just kind of had this energy about me that like, you're not going to get the best of me. And after I like healed up, that's when I started going to the cypher.
That's where you start going where?
Go to the cypher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's when I started going to the cypher.
Wow. So was that like your safe haven?
Mm-hmm.
Sid, I did not know. That's crazy. In my head, I just always thought that's what you were doing. And then like when you invited me and then when Malik was there too, I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, I was just sitting because, you know, I don't know how to rap, but just watching my friends and other athletes rapping at the cypher. That is, wow, that's a full circle moment.
So that was that was kind of when I started that like bridge between still hanging with the athletes, but also forging my own path.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the population at state. Was rapping at the cypher. It was like when two worlds collide because I'm living at College Inn at the time. But I'm also getting introduced to all different types of people. But it's like, that was my saving grace was I got this thing over here that I'm doing because I was doing it right before I got hurt. And then after I healed up, just went crazy with it because now I'm not really going to practice like that. I'm going to the training room and I'm still trying to offset my stressors with music. So now I'm hanging out with football players and other people doing music and then people in frat. So like it's like world building essentially.
Yeah.
That's when you would see me, I was figuring out other ways to like channel a lot of the frustration and the bullshit that I was dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, on that end. And then I really upped the ante. Like I redshirted that next semester and my plan was to go back home to my high school coach and really like train like crazy. Having me before I could even leave, I got a text and the head coach was like, I got some papers I need you to sign at the training room. Come down here. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
Like blunt like that?
Yeah. And I was like, all right. So I go to WV and I'm like looking for him. Nobody's there. I think everyone's gone to like nationals. They had gone somewhere to some meet. So nobody was there. It was just like his admin there and was like, oh, these are the papers they left me. I'm looking at the papers. It's a release form. Yeah.
This is the same coach that made you blow out your knee.
It's the head coach. So
okay.
They didn't even have the decency to say
no.
And all the time I was like struggling and trying to, you know, manage my grades in class and, you know, the jumps coach talking about, like, do you care? And I'm like, I'm literally hurt.
Yeah. Right.
Like
what do you do?
Walk. I'm taking medication because my knees messed up. You know, I'm pissed because my knees messed up and it not by my own hand.
Right.
So I'm going through all of this and you're going to talk about you bringing the team GPA down. Cool. So now I'm stressed because I'm a really good student, but I'm struggling because life is life. And it's with offering support and, you know, making sure I had tutoring and stuff like that. It was just like this withdrawal of resources. So I double redshirt. The spring semester, I'm like on the water treadmill. I'm cold tub. Like I'm doing everything that I can to get strong again because this time, like my edema was really, really bad. Like I stayed swollen. After I had my surgery, because at this point I'm like 45% bone on bone.
That's crazy.
The tear was so bad, and it was both. It was both sides. It was my medial and lateral. So like, now I'm really struggling. So in that paper, I got this whole plan in my head, like, oh, I'm finna do this, I'm finna do that. And then people was like, nope.
You're
right. For me. They won't even care.
No, of course not. Like when you get to college, you're a transaction. They don't look at you like you're human, bro.
What have you done for me lately? We're not investing, you know, it's our fault you got hurt, but you're hurt, so you're not an asset to the team.
Right. And we're just gonna ignore you and just keep moving forward. So was that like it for your college track career?
I was it.
Well, how are you able, or how important was it for you to spark a new sense of purpose right then and there and not sit in your grief? Because so many athletes, including me, will sit in our grief until it manifests into something darker like depression. So how, and not saying that you probably were depressed, but like how important was it for you to spark a new sense of purpose right then and there?
I think that was a change of a shift in guard for me as far as like a word.
Right.
Bet. Bet. Because it was like, I'm not a spiteful person by nature.
Yeah.
When you wrong me, I got to get you back.
Yeah.
I got to get you. Like it's personal at that point. So, but I'm not going to get you in the sense that I'm going to destroy myself.
Right.
That ain't getting you. That's getting me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get you like, you're going to hate the fact that you dogged me like that, because now you're going to see me everywhere. Because they
sleep, all that.
Yeah, at the end of the day. So now, look, now I'm in the gym with you. Now I'm at volleyball games. Now I'm everywhere. Like I think sometimes people think that you need them in order to be valuable or validated. When the whole time you the one that brought the value. I didn't NC State recruited me.
That part.
So if I wasn't valuable, you wouldn't have been looking at me my sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
I understand things are a business, but you bet on the horses that you know you can win. But the difference is if you can't cultivate talent, you got to withdraw. I had coaches in high school that cultivated talent. So it was unfortunate if somebody got hurt, but they weren't worried about it because they knew that they had the resources to get them back and better. But if you can't do that, then I'm exhausting resources. You need fresh blood to keep the thing going, because there's a shortcoming in your ability to continue to cultivate talent beyond challenges. And to me, great coaches can do that. Yeah. So I licked my wounds. It hurt. It pissed me off. It was really, really hard. It was hard for my parents. Because they had a vision of how state was going to go for me. I thought about transferring. I had a lot of teammates that did transfer. San Diego State, University of Kentucky. Like a lot of people went other places because of the nonsense and the lack of support once you're not able to do what they wanted you to do. Yeah. Even if you're committed to whatever process to get back to where you're trying to go. So I think I got super involved. Like that's when I started getting involved in Society of African American Culture and getting involved in like how I ended up throwing tally parties and doing all of these things. Like I started to get involved more civically, and I started to get involved like more in my major. I changed majors, and this is also my sophomore year. My grandmother got sick, so
all that happened your sophomore year.
Stuff like between freshman and sophomore year, so much stuff happened. Yeah. So I think for me, it was like really diving into my friendships, diving into music, just making a name for myself that meant something to me, because now I have to divorce from this athlete identity. I'm not an athlete anymore. I got to accept it. I got to move on from it. And I have to figure out like, that ain't the only thing that I am. And my mom was big on that too. She was like, I get it, but you're brilliant. There's other things that you're great at. There's other things you can do. Feed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was more so like, listen, I always told you, like, you didn't rely on academics to get you in NC State. I actually got into NC State academically and also,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
I accepted academically and also got a track scholarship. So I didn't need track to stay at NC State.
Yeah.
Because I had the grades.
Yeah.
When it's like, all right, this is what we're doing. We're released from the team. Okay, cool. Whatever. Next group of athletes comes in my sophomore year. They know me from competing against me in high school. So I'm still there. My teammates are my old teammates are my roommates. So I'm still around. So even though I wasn't on the team, I was like this honorary member of the team really up through graduation. And then in my commencement book, go to the student athlete section. In the commencement book.
You're in the student athlete section. They should have
My parents bawled. Like, they were like, oh my God, your name is under here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
See, NC State did a really good job of treating student athletes like humans. You just was unfortunate to have a coach. What was his name?
Coleman.
Coach Coleman, you suck. You were just unfortunate to have a coach like that didn't care about you, that looked at you like you were a transaction. So I'm sorry, bro.
And I mean, college athletes go through it. I think much like anything else, you know, you go to school and you expect to be in a program that is going to support you, because that's what they tell you when they recruit you. That's what they tell you on your visit. Like, all these resources, all of this, we got this, we got that, we got this, we got that, we got you.
Right.
Like, and your parents are also thinking the same thing when they're sending you off to school.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that's not the reality of what happens, it's heartbreaking. But you gotta know that athletics it's a great thing, but it's not the only thing, because everybody hang their spikes up one day. You can't do it forever.
Exactly.
You know, it's a young man's game, young woman's game. So at the end of the day, you always have to be thinking about, who am I? My athletics is a part of me, but it is not the sum of me. Who am I outside of this? Even if you're still able to compete, you got to have other interests. You got to have other friends. Like, you got to have other things that still fortify the other parts of you, because the day that you can't play no more, that you can't run no more, you can't get lost in that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if things worked out the way that you wanted to at the beginning, like you were able to finish NC State, running track, do you think that you would be where you are now mentally, especially with those questions you just asked? No?
That's a good question.
I'm trying, bro.
I like that. Damn, I gotta think on that.
Oh, take your time. Take your time.
You know, it's funny because I think about my world now and like my friendships that are super meaningful and super impactful. I don't think anything is by accident. I think leaving the track world when I did only made my world bigger. And I didn't lose the people that meant something to me track-wise.
Right.
I just gained others. If I was still running, if I was running in college, man, like all ACC, like, I would have been nasty.
Yeah.
Because of who I was coached by. The great in high school, Trevor and Graham. What they put into me, how they built me as an athlete, how they built me as a person. They built my character.
Yeah.
You know, I persevered. I've had 3 knee injuries. I've come back from 2 of them.
Yeah.
And it was because I had them. So I don't think for a second that if I had the proper support and if I was just given the opportunity to do what I plan to do, there wouldn't have been we got some broken goods. We got some damaged goods. It would have been like, oh, shit. You're not believing your athletes. If you're going to take the time to recruit people, believe in them, especially if they believe in themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got people that don't want it. That's a different conversation. I wanted it. I wanted good. I wanted to be great. But before that, I wanted to be healthy.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you get people where they don't have no fight in them, that's not a place that you want an athlete to be, because that you don't know how much they've had to battle with themselves to even get there. So I feel like if I would continue running, it wouldn't have been necessarily an Olympic thing. And I can't even say that. Maybe it would have been. Maybe I would have jumped something crazy and, you know, took a chance on myself and done that. I think times are a little bit different. You know, that was 2013.
Yeah.
But I do feel like I would have given them the best that I had out there. No question about it.
Yeah. And knowing you, I know you would have.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know,
I would have given them the best that they would have got a worthy investment. They would have got the return on their investment more than that, because I only got a partial. So they would have gotten full ride effort because of my own pride and love for the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to touch on what you said, like the foundation you had in high school. I had the same thing. And I was fortunate enough to have players on my team that were serious about the sports too. And basketball, we were able to push each other. But coaching wise and trainer wise, they believed in us. They put in a mindset, you know, a killer mindset. So going into college, like you said, your mindset is different from most people that are coming in and that are in your freshman class, because not everyone are privileged to have a foundation like that. So when it was taken away from you and you were trying to figure out on your own, what would you say is the importance to find a community of foundation when your purpose is stripped from you and you might like have lost that sense of identity in yourself?
You gotta have it. I think like our friendship came along at a time where I was in that transition. And so I got to be a really dope cheerleader and come to y'all's games and, you know, be around and hang around and do stuff like that. And so you gotta have somewhere to put that energy. You gotta have somewhere to reignite that spark. And my thing is, I love basketball, so that wasn't hard. Like that was one of those things that in high school I was going to summer workouts and was gonna play basketball. And my coach was like, "You cool or whatever, but you know how hard it is to get into college playing ball." And I was decent, but I wasn't all world. Like I think track would have made. If I would have ran track and played basketball, I would have been a better basketball player because of how hard I worked at track. It would have just refined some things and it really helped my athleticism.
Yeah.
And my sharpness. But when you find a support system and you connect with people, it shifts your purpose. Your purpose may not, our purpose doesn't necessarily change, because I think ultimately God has the master plan of everything. But I think we have to go through changes to evolve, to execute. So I think seasons that we go through, hardships that we go through, they're vehicles. They get you closer and closer to where you're actually supposed to be. So I think through track, it created connection for all of these other things, even now.
Yeah.
Like even who my best friends are, who I'm dating, like it's all literally related to the sport, you know, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's all connected. And like, realize that everything that you do, there is no accidents. Everything is intentional. Everything is done on purpose. You start to make peace with what didn't happen. And you also make peace with what did happen. So I think you have to open yourself up to connect and show up for other people, because everything that happens to you isn't necessarily about you, grand scheme. So like when I was able to plug into other things, I got to see other sides of myself, and then I got to build relationships and build connections with other people. But if I would have stayed in my room and been like, bump all sports, bump NC State, bump this, bump that, you make your world this big.
Yeah.
When you do that. So as much as it may hurt, you can't be so caught up in your own shit that you don't expand beyond it and allow yourself to go, you know what, this may not be for me, but I got like 4, 5, 6 homegirls and homeboys where they're living their dreams right now. I'm finna go sit in them stands.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So I still felt included, embraced, a part of, which is all you really want in team interactions anyway, is to feel a part of something. So when I just pivoted and just made it not about what I experienced, but like, okay, what does my life look like now? Let's make it fire. I think that really influenced how I moved afterwards and made me have a really well-rounded college experience. So by the time I graduated, I was on top of the world. I was a campus queen. I was a campus president. Like, I did everything I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, so I ain't mad at it.
Killing it. So I do have 2 questions after like what you said. One was what you were saying, like dive into your friendship, your family. And I was guilty of that when, you know, I wasn't drafted and I literally lived in another state away from family and friends and just was not around people that really uplifted me. And I just kept getting into a darker spot. For people that are like in my shoes, what would you tell them if they feel like they're trapped and they don't know their other purpose in life? Because you had music, you knew that you were talented in music and in other things. I didn't know what the hell I was good at other than, you know, basketball. Yeah. So how would someone in my shoes just start to try to want to uplift themselves out of the darkness and pursue that path of just finding happiness again and finding people around them if they feel like they're trapped?
Honestly, pray. That sounds how it sounds.
Yeah.
I'm not super religious. I'm very spiritual. I'm very into pray on it, because you'll have family over here, you'll have friends over there. If you're dealing with somebody, you may have somebody coming over here. You'll have social media somewhere else, and you gotta go inward, and not where you sulk and not where you obsess, but where you think to yourself, what would 6-year-old me do or want to do that I haven't even tried yet because I picked a path and that's the path that I've stayed on all this time, right? But when we're 6, 8, 9, 10 years old, we think we can do anything.
Right.
How's the interest? So that's your opportunity. Go back to the drawing board. What did you used to love to do as a kid? What did you used to do to pass the time when you weren't? It's like none of us spent all day on a court or at the track or on a field. There were other things that we were into. Go back there. So much like a bow and arrow, like you got to get pulled back to get propelled forward. So sometimes you got to take some steps back and go, you know what? Let me think about who I am in totality. Let me get quiet enough and listen for what God has for me. And the way I know God, he is not going to scream. He's going to be like, I need you to do this. And if you're not listening or if it's too chaotic, you're not going to hear what he's saying to you. Take some to sit still, just think about like, dang, is there anything else that if I wasn't doing this, I would have loved to do that? And then just start there.
Yeah.
And don't make it this, I would say to people, don't be so quick to get into something and use it as your new way to identify. I think sometimes that's the battle, is that like we have to cloak into something else. And it's like, no. Be Dominique. Just highlight another part of who she is.
Yeah.
If this is curtains for this area, how that's not 100% you. Just shift the focus, right? But don't treat the next thing that you get into like, oh God, I gotta be dripped up and draped out in whatever this new identity is, because then it sucks the learning process out. Takes that out of there. It puts too much pressure on it working out. And it doesn't allow you to flex and move freely between things that you may just be interested in. And you go, oh, that was cool, but not really. Next. So it makes it too hard for you to flow. when you get, oh, if I'm not a basketball player, I must go be this thing fully. And it's like, no, just be you. And then what is for you next, let it come to you. Have conversations with people. Read. I will say this when it came to music. Dive deep.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like to rap, but like, I really love music. Maybe I dabble in production and just see what that's like. Like, become an enthusiast again, become a student again to something new.
Yeah.
Is what I would say to do. Especially creatively. There's so many things people can do. You can cook, you can act, you can get into music, you can, I don't know, build a computer. Like, whatever it is that you are kind of interested in, that's your chance. So take it.
Yeah. So, because I'm not Christian, but basically, if you are Christian, pray, but like sit in silence, listen to your subconscious, or like meditate. And I'm big on journaling too, like all those things.
Whoever you pray to, whatever you believe in that is outside of self. All of us, no matter what book you may subscribe to, I'm not gonna say I'm a self-proclaimed, Christian. I do believe in God. I do believe in a higher power. That being said, there's so many ideologies that there's something specific that someone follows, dive deeper into that. But whatever it is that keeps you grounded, that's find some way to get grounded, find some way to get centered, find to connect to. Whether you connect to nature, go outside, touch some grass. Like, whatever it is that allows you to connect upward, that's really my point there. Because people believe in all different types of things, but anybody that does believe in something outside of themselves, it is an upward thought. Yes, it is greater than you. It is bigger than you. It is something that tethers you and connects you to the universe. Get centered. Because depression, whether you call it the devil, whether you call it the enemy, whatever you name it, there are things that will take you backwards and things that'll take you downwards. So you got to stay uplifted. You have to stay realistic, but you do have to stay positive. And you have to speak positive things over you, even in confusion, even in doubt. Like, you can't function out of fear. You can't think to yourself that, oh, my life is over. It's like, I tore my ACL at 18 years old. I'm supposed to say my life is over? That's crazy.
Right, yeah.
That's crazy. So sometimes when you look back on it, it's like, I don't have any choice but to figure out how do I persevere, because I got too much time left. Too much to do. I haven't done enough to say I've exhausted all my options.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
Man, you've always been so wise. I think you came out the womb wise. I love talking to you.
Maybe, yeah, I said maybe just a little bit.
I think so. Yeah. And you spoke on it. You've been so successful after track. What's been like the most surprising part of this new chapter for you in life after track and getting into different, corporate America jobs, your music, your podcast? What's been the most surprising part out of all of that?
Girl, my ability to pivot. So, literally the year after I graduated, my grandmother died.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even walk fully into adulthood without losing one of the most important people to me. And I'll be honest with you, from 24 to now 30, it's been a wild ride. It's been crazy. I think my time in pharma and corporate jobs and things like that, buying a house, getting this, getting that, I got to a point where my life was looking better on paper than it was actually feeling. And a lot of people don't know that. They see the resume or even how we talking, and it seems like, oh, you've had all this success, and it's like it came at a really high cost to my mind. And I'm just now, literally as we're having this conversation, knowing that I'm moving back to Atlanta in less than 24 hours. It's 6 years ago.
Yeah.
When I first came down there, you saw how I was.
Yeah.
At the time of my life.
Yeah.
I was so myself, and I was turning 25, and now this fall I'll be 31, and it's like I remember being 19 in the car with you, going home with you, like, hey man, when I graduate, I'm gonna be in Buckhead. I'm gonna da 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 da. 6 years, I did it. Paying kids. What the hell? Life totally switched. I ended up in Greensboro, someplace I never thought I would end up, aside from going to A&T's homecoming. And I thought I was doing it right. I thought I was doing all the right things, being all the right things. And I think the most surprising thing is that there's a difference between a good thing and a God thing. And that goes back to you talking about purpose. There's a difference between doing things that are fine and well and on the path to alignment and your purpose. Life will give you a lot of things that are cool.
Yeah.
How are you? I'm fine. How are things? They're good. Greatness comes from alignment, though. Greatness comes from alignment.
Yeah.
Be good. Do you want to be great here, and with whatever you're doing externally? That comes from alignment. That comes from taking leaps of faith. That comes from being honest when you're like, this looks right, but it don't feel right. That comes from trusting your gut. And the power is in the pivot. As athletes, as basketball players, that pivot is the power move, because once you pick that ball up, you got to know what you're doing. You can't put it back down.
Yeah.
You either shooting or you passing. So the IQ to know when you need to pivot is just that. They're like, oh, I've picked up my dribble. Now these are power plays that get made after I pick this dribble up. While I'm trying to find my position in life, I got to keep the ball moving, right? Once I pick it up, though, a play has to be made. And one of two things happens. You pass it, it's an assist. You shoot that thing, and it's points, or the ball gets turned over.
Yep, look at you.
That's it, right? So when you find yourself in that situation where you're out of dribbles, you picking up, you got to know that at that point, you're most vulnerable, but you also your most powerful. So for me, when opportunities started to come, they were like, hey, come on back. I didn't pick up my dribble. I stalled it. Stalled it. And what happens? You stall on the dribble, you don't shoot, time runs out. Gets turned anyway. So long story to shorten it is that the most surprising thing for me was I wasn't powerful because I was making a lot of money. I wasn't powerful because I bought a house. I wasn't powerful because I had this job or worked for this company. I was my most powerful when I listened to self and I pivoted.
Yeah. And listened to self and pivoted, you were able to find your next purpose.
Yep. And then when things like that happen, when you do that, the game runs different.
Yeah.
The game runs different. Now you done picked it up, you lob it back. It's so many things that can happen when you shift that way and decide, oh no, we're scoring right now. Oh no, I see that pass right there. This is ours to have. And when you don't do that, you done been in games, you don't watch games when you're like, why did they pass the thing? Oh, it was there.
Yeah.
Life is just like that. Adulthood is just like that.
Yeah.
There'll be an opportunity right there, but because you over here in La La Land, you miss your bus. You don't know when that play is gonna line up that way again. Last time it only took you 2 minutes. This time it may take you a whole quarter to set something like that up again. You lose games like that.
Yeah, and it might be harder this time for you.
You gonna go against a team where they ain't missing no pivots.
Yeah, none.
They're not missing no screens. None. And now while you over there stalling, you getting stripped of the ball because you haven't figured out where your power is. So adulthood from 24 to 30 is taught me that when the ball is in your court, only 3 things can happen. 2 of them are power plays, so the odds are in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
But you keep stalling, you gonna get the ball snatched. And now you like, I had it. I was on. I knew what I wanted to do. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got them people that shot wide open. They're afraid to pull up.
Yeah.
Because they don't.
A lot of people are afraid. That's what's.
I don't want to admit. It's like, if you don't shoot it, it's the same thing. It's no points. You just like a dumbass.
Yeah. Yeah. But how important is it for them to continue to go for it, even if they are afraid?
That's courage. People think that courage is not being afraid. It's like, no, it's doing the thing scared.
Facts.
It's just doing the thing scared. It's been so many times where I've been like, I don't know how this is going to work.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it. Because doing nothing does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It does nothing. Yes. Yeah, you may not, run into traffic, but, if there's $1 million on the other side of the door and you don't open it, you also don't have $1 million.
Yeah.
So there is no win when you stop playing.
Right.
You got to keep playing. You got to keep betting on yourself. You have to keep trying things. Everything's not going to stick. Everything's not going to work. But, again, to bring it back to basketball, I feel like the best basketball games I've watched, or the ones that suck, are the ones that people don't move the ball enough. They dish it a single play every time, and they shoot, and maybe they make it, maybe they don't. But the most exciting games are the ones where there's movement. You hate a slow basketball game because it says that nobody's sure what they got going on. It's like, did you practice? No,
right.
How you're playing?
Right, yeah.
It's like, move the ball around. Stop. I hate, especially in high school, because ain't no shot clock. I hate teams that just hold the ball. Let that clock run.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not skill. It's kind of cheating.
Like a little bit. Yeah.
It's not using the time wisely. It's cheating the clock. So they think, if we just hold it and we just stall them out, we'll win it by just running out of time. Those are the worst games. You play hard until that clock is done. So you gotta always think on your feet and be able to pivot. It doesn't mean you're not gonna have downtime. It doesn't mean that you aren't gonna have seasons where you are required to sit still. But sit still is not sitting in vain. Sometimes sitting still is just not trying to busy yourself or distract yourself with other things. Sometimes it's just focusing in. Sometimes it's just living. Like, wake up, brush your teeth, wash your face, do whatever it is you need to do that day, eat and go to sleep. Sometimes you'll be in a season where you do need to be a lot more active, where you need to be communing and you need to be giving back and you need to be learning something new. Like, there's different things. There's just like how you play when you don't have a ball in your hand. You still playing.
Right.
You just play your position differently when the ball's not in your hand. So, I think sometimes people think that, like, if I just don't move and I stay frozen in ice, nothing can happen. And it's like, you're right. You're just not right in the way you think you're right.
Right. And just like,
or bad is going to happen. Like, that growth isn't going to happen either.
Yep. I was just about to say that doing the thing, even if you're afraid, and let's say the outcome is not what you wanted, at the end of the day, now you have learned something, you just got better. Because driving to the hole, let's say you got stripped, but you were afraid to drive at first, but you did anyways. Now okay, I got stripped because I let the ball hang out too far. And now next time when I drive, I'll have it a little bit closer.
Exactly.
I have my arm bar up to protect it. You just got better. But if you never drove to the hole, you wouldn't have
better. Everything stays theoretical.
Right.
Nothing to practice. So if you want to be somebody that contributes, that people go, you know what? She did that. People are a lot less mad at a good shot that was missed than a shot not taken that should have been, or a horrible shot selection.
Facts.
People know that the ball not going to drop every time.
Right.
But how many times have you sat there and be like, you know what? It was a miss. That was a good shot, though. That was a good take.
Yeah.
That's why that's a thing in basketball. That's a good take. And there's times we like, that was a horrible take. You are off balance. Just like 70 feet away. Like, you could have passed it. I don't know what you were trying to do there. Or the person that just functional freeze.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally nobody in front of you. Look. Like, that's the difference between like the preservation of ego and like the actual preservation of self.
Mm-hmm.
When you try and protect your ego and how people see you, you do things that actually kind of do the opposite. But when you understand that self-preservation means evolution and growth, and you have to step outside your comfort zone, and you're going to have to learn, and you're going to have to be a sponge, which means you're also going to like fail sometimes. You function differently. So you can be scared. I'm not going to tell anybody, hey, don't be scared, but understand the difference between fear and danger. Yeah. Everything that you fear is not actually out to harm you. And that's, Will Smith definitely said that. Like, there's fear, there's danger. They're different. Yeah. So when you feel scared, that might be an inclination that you're doing something worth doing because it's stretching a part of you that is uncomfortable. And nothing grows in the comfort zone. So if you're like, I'm scared, it's like, good. That means that it's a challenge. That means that you're not comfortable anymore. And that's really all that it is. You're just uncomfortable.
Yeah. Facts. Wow. Again, like I said, wisdom and tea. I love listening to you talk. But you always drop wisdom, and you've always just seemed older than your age to me. How has telling your own story helped you heal and grow? And what inspiration are you and Brianna leaving with your podcast and even on your social media and your music? Like, how is that? You want to speak on that?
So, I'll start with the first part of the question.
Yes, ma'am.
I think speaking light into your own story, it helps with your confidence. I think just how I grew up, I learned to focus a lot about external perception and how that should shape how I should feel about myself. And I had to get to adulthood forces you to go, it don't matter. When you grown, it don't matter. Like, whatever decisions you make, you face those consequences directly. Yeah. So it's not about what your auntie thinks or your cousin thinks or your mama thinks or your daddy thinks. It's, you got to deal with it. You have to be able to sleep at night. And people are going to say whatever they're going to say, but they can't really do anything. Like, they can express their opinion, but short of that, it's just an opinion. So I think being able to tell my story, I didn't realize how much my story actually resonated with other people. I would just do shit. In music, that was my outlet. That was the way that I was able to express my frustrations. That was the way I was able to kind of, it's like when people make comic books and see themselves as superheroes, that was like my way to do that as well. So like who I felt I was on the inside, but maybe my external circumstances didn't quite match it yet. I could be whoever I wanted to be on the song. I could be, Billy Badass and talk a whole bunch of shit on a song. It's not about like not truth telling, but it's about music allows you to express, art in general allows you to express yourself in a really raw way. But it's packaged where it's not like you just having a conversation with somebody. It's its own entity. And so I think it kind of safeguards the most vulnerable parts of us because it's in a medium that is just different from our front-facing persona on a day-to-day basis. The podcast came out of a place and space in my life where shit was just all upside down. Seriously. Upside down. Okay. And I was at that point where it's like, I don't know what to do with my life. So I'm gonna do this until I can figure out what I want to do with my life. That's it. And I think the podcast, I'm very grateful to it. Is it something that I would want to get back to? Yeah. I think yes. I just think maybe in a different capacity, especially when we moving. Because like we won't be in the same space anymore. But I think even with that, it made me comfortable on camera. It made me comfortable speaking. I struggled with that even when it came to music, which is why, like, yeah, my friends know. Yeah, like, that's why it ain't stuff out. Like, you can't go be like, oh, I'm finna go listen to a Cidni album. No, you're not. You're not gonna. You're not. Sounds. No, you're not. Because my confidence wasn't there. Like,
yeah,
I knew I was talented, but like when I would go to record myself, and then we're not talking about having studio time. We're talking about making studios in the bedroom. We're talking about like, yeah, we're talking about doing what we can. Like, this isn't professional stuff. So I was my biggest critic, and I was afraid. Like, I knew what I wanted to sound like based on who I listened to and who inspired me. And then I'm like, but it don't sound like that. And it's like, well, it's not going to sound like that because you don't have the resources.
Yeah.
Sound like that. It doesn't mean that there's not talent there. So I think that some of it was just like being afraid of perception and being afraid of like, what if they don't think I'm as good as I think I am? What if I'm not as good as I think I am? And getting on the podcast and just dropping stuff, and people were like, oh my God, I was thinking that the whole time. And you like, damn, I never had this conversation because I didn't want to be judged, or I didn't think that other people were experiencing this because this felt so niche to me, or maybe I wasn't even allowed to talk about this at the time I was going through it. So liberation that came from the podcast, there was fun, you know. I to just like show other sides of my personality that only my friends really saw.
Yeah.
And I think too, when I stepped away from pharma, that also allowed me to do that, because going into it at the time, there was a lot riding on, hey, you need to make sure that your public persona is this and not this. You can't look like this. Hey, nose ring, tattoos, you can't, nobody's gonna take you serious.
Corporate America.
Like rested stuff. No, I'm not dropping music. I'm making music. I'm writing. I'm doing things, but I'm not putting it out because I'm trying to get a job.
Right.
Oh, no, I'm not saying this on wax or on camera, because if they find out that I'm gay, or they find out this, or they find out that, I might not get a job.
Right.
There was a lot of me that I had to like just put somewhere and stuff in the back, because I was afraid it was going to affect my livelihood and my ability to have one. And it's like, that's ass. That sucks.
Yeah.
Because they don't have anything to do with each other. You know what I mean? Like I don't look like this at work. I look like this at home. And I shouldn't have to wear a suit everywhere that I go when I'm not inside my home because I work for this company over there.
Right.
A lot of that has to do with the intersectionality of Blackness, of queerness, of like, you know, how perception and things like that works in the world. And it's jacked up, like it's ass. But doing that made me feel a little less self-conscious about what I thought was me being late to the party. And understanding that as long as you got breath in your body, it's never too late.
Speak on it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
It's not connect with it. And maybe, you know, the time for podcasting, the time for music is now, because I got different shit to talk about that I didn't have 10 years ago. You know, it would have been cool, but the depth that I can go into now, what I can talk about, my perspective and my confidence in myself is completely different. So maybe the talent ain't really got no time on it. It just may change how you execute it. So if your basketball IQ or your track IQ or your football IQ is crazy, you may have a time limit on how long you could play, but maybe you go coach. Maybe where this isn't wasted, it's just transmuted into something different. So for me with music, like, yeah, there was a time where I wanted to be famous, but then I got older, I got more mature, it was like, you don't want to be famous. Express yourself and exhaust all the gifts that you were given. And if that turns into an opportunity for you to eat off of it, cool. If it turns into an opportunity for you to network, cool. If it turns into just, hey, this what I do every Saturday night, or me and my friends go listen to this, or maybe I opened up for this person, or maybe whatever it turns into, you just want to be able to do it freely.
Yeah.
With no restrictions. But it ain't too late. It's just the vision just may look a little different if you meet it at a different point in your life.
Right. So you are about to drop a new song now.
Maybe.
Maybe what is it about?
Maybe.
Talk about it. I'm super excited. I always told you I loved your music, and I was always pushing for you to.
Yeah, you always hip. You always look up. So it's funny because like I've been working on stuff with my brother who is now producing and rapping and doing all the things.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
Sister's amazing as well.
You know, I try. But the song, when you ask me like, "Here's some music," and I'm like, there's actually a song that I've had in the tuck for like maybe 2 years. How old is Swiss?
2 years? Wow.
I recorded it in here in this room, but it was like maybe 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a point where it's really about, like I said what I said. So it's very much like your Drake, you know, timestamp songs where it's not a hook on it. It's just bars. It's Western Road Flows. It's any of those songs like that where he's just going for like 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Rapping, yeah.
He's just rapping. That's what Swiss is. And so Swiss stands for Said What I Said. And when I wrote it, like, of course I freestyle, but there are songs that I do write. So when I wrote it, I was at a point where I was just like, I really don't care about what anybody has to say about where I'm at in life, what I'm doing, what I got going on. I think I was just at a point with like family and community where, like, you know, there's a little beef. And I was just kind of tired of feeling like I got all this stuff. I got this house. What more do you want from me?
Right.
What's it gonna take to be successful in somebody else's eyes? Like, who else do I have to be? What else do I have to do? And so Swiss is really just kind of like my little to the idea that, damn, it still ain't enough yet. It still ain't, we still not, you know. So like the first line you're going to hear is like, whatever it is you need to think about me to feel better, than think it.
I love that.
Yeah. Swallow plenty hard pills without water for drinking. Like, it's just like whatever you got in your head about me, that is your business. I'm good. I'm done. I don't care to respond or to live my life in accordance to the thoughts and perceptions that other people have of me, because I'll never be in control of that.
Yeah.
And the goalpost is always going to move. You know what I'm saying? You can do everything right over here, but the second you don't do something right over there, somebody's going to have something to say about it. And I just couldn't wrap my brain around going any further in life, thinking like that. So it's just like, yeah, fuck it. You know, I'm good. I'm done with it. If how I'm living or what I want out of life is not enough for the next person, it is just not going to be enough.
Right.
And
End of that.
And we move. And
now that I have you here, because I am going to play a snippet on, like, when I edit this, but can also put the link in the show notes. Are you comfortable with that? So
it's not out yet.
Okay. That's it. That's all you have to say. I ain't going to do it.
You don't want to come in soon.
Okay.
Because it's not on any platforms yet. It's you got an unreleased exclusive, but you can definitely let people know, hey, be on the lookout for this.
Syndicated.
Yeah, because the other cool part about it is when I recorded it myself. It's raw. So now I got some people that can mix it down and do all the things to address it up and get it ready for platforms.
Tough.
But yeah, you can let them know that Swiss coming soon.
Okay.
You heard it. You can hit them with it. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Exclusive. Back.
Back things, you know.
Well, I feel super special. Thank you. And we're winding down to the fun part, the fun questions.
Let's do it.
Are you ready? All right. This one's more of a reflected one. If you could sit across from your younger self, what would you say to her?
Is this a fun question or an emotional question?
What? Okay, it's reflection, and it gets older. Yeah.
I would say to her, it's gonna get really, really hard. And it's gonna get really, really good. So just hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. The scary parts of a roller coaster, if you just need to go like this, do it. Because hold on. Like, the hard parts, you're going to want to give up. You're going to want to just check out and just give up. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Allow yourself the opportunity to get to the other side of the hard stuff.
I love that.
It's pretty over there.
Yeah. Gorgeous. I love that. All right. Second one. You're not going to cry on this one. If you could be any athlete for a day, who would you be and why?
That's tough.
It is. It's a lot of nice athletes.
It was like, some days, I might want to be LeBron James. I'm going to hold you.
Facts.
I might want to be Skylar Diggins or Asia Wilson.
Facts. Oh my gosh, you always love Skylar Diggins.
Always love Skylar Diggins. Damn. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an athlete that just be having a ball. I
feel like LeBron be having a ball. Yeah. And he's a freak of nature. Like, you can experience how it feels to jump out the gym and just be that strong, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, there's sometimes I might have wanted to have Kobe.
Yes.
Yeah. That level of like greatness and just like mental fortitude, like, I think would have been fire. But I think LeBron, just because of like the well-roundedness of like all of his experiences, you know what I mean? Off the court, family, like to me, he represents this like whole picture, dynamic wise. And then he is just a monster freaking nature. And he's dealt with the BS, you know, burning jerseys in Cleveland and all kind of stuff. It's like, I would just want to know.
Yeah.
I would just
be him for a day.
Yeah, I just want to know. I'm curious.
All right, last one. If aliens landed tomorrow and said, take us to your leader, but you get to don't look at me like that.
This is such a you question, bro. This is a super you question.
All right, I gotta like do this so I can't look at your face. All right, take us to your leader, but you get to decide who represents Earth. Celebrity, cartoon, athlete, anyone. Who are you picking and why?
Just one being?
Just one. You got another one, sure.
Chris Brown.
Really? You gotta explain on that. That's okay.
Here's why.
Okay.
I think Chris Brown is somebody that represents so much of humanity, like his experience, because he went through crazy things.
Yes.
But he's extremely talented. And so I think that I wouldn't want somebody to come to Earth and get this like a false representative of humanity. I think there are a lot of other people, you know, that could fall up under that, you know, but I think Chris Brown is somebody who you see all of it.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly, but then the incredibly talented.
Yeah.
So I think that if they're like, well, what about the flaws, the faults? It's like, you'll see that here. But then it's like, well, what about do y'all have anybody that has superhuman abilities? And it's like, he does backflips too. And he's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I could say somebody like Beyonce, but I think Beyonce is at a place where she only shows us what she wants us to see.
Right.
Whereas like Chris Brown, there was a point where he didn't have any control over what we saw. We just saw it.
Yeah.
And then his ability to rebound and come back from so many crazy things and still create and still provide art and still, you know, like, I think it's just to me, he's the most human of the celebrities that we have access to. We don't know these people personally, but I think he's been the most vulnerable. He's been the most exposed. He's been the most open, but then he's also recovered.
Yeah.
It made his life and existence even more purposeful.
Yeah.
The stuff that was like really messed up, that,
yeah,
you know, actions he's made, and then things that, you know, were out of his control as well.
Right. So they'll get like the whole
they'll just get a much bigger picture. I think a lot of other celebrities or cartoons, it's skewed in one particular light and facet, and we just don't know enough about them, or what we do know of them just is kind of either superficial or superfluous. Like, it just doesn't really matter. Chris Brown, I think his impact on the culture, music, but then also seeing the humanity and the things that he's had going on, you know, to say in that. I mean, again, you could talk about politicians or, you know, extremely important, significant figures, especially in like the Black community. But I also think that, like, it's a fun question. So there's fun in my answer, but there's also like
realness.
Yeah, it's realness. You get a whole picture out of all the celebrities. Maybe Rihanna too.
You know, I love her.
Yeah, we love Riri.
We went to her last concert.
We didn't even know. We didn't even know. Like, we didn't even know.
No, she need to come back. But Cyd, it's been an honor. You know how much I love you. You have always been a sister to me. You've always been wise, like a great sage. I can listen to you speak forever and not even get a word in. I'm just here, just connecting with you, because like what you're saying is just always so powerful. So thank you for your time and your wisdom. And I love you. And you're going to be in Atlanta before me. So turn up until I get there.
I'll hold the fort down, Nick. I so appreciate you inviting me onto this amazing platform. I can't wait to see how amazing it becomes and how it blossoms and flourishes. You my dog. I love you to death.
Thank you.
And we're gonna be back in the A together.
Partying. Well, I don't want to say partying, but like kicking it.
Just kicking it.
I don't want people to be out here acting crazy.
Nah. I'm washed for all intents and purposes. So good food though. Some sporting events, some concerts.
Yes.
Hit the belt line. We got it. Yeah, we got it.
All right, sis.
All right. Love you too. Later.
Bye.
100 pretty women on my mind and 99 on me shit. The other one is who God sent me to be with. A lovely one, skill golden brown from a beach trip. My honey bun, but trust ain't shit, sweet sis. So move around if your energy ill-intended, cause lawyers are expensive. I can't.
People do not talk about this enough. Seriously, why I stayed away from anyone who knew me when I was running? Because I hate to have to answer the big questions. What happened? Why did you stop? Are you still running? And hearing people's opinions on why I should still be. Hate it. Also hate it when it was currently my life and that's all people wanted to talk about. LOLs. If you relate to this person, please leave a comment down below. And remember, you are not alone. If today's conversation resonated with you, do me a favor. Share this episode with someone who might need it. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watching it on YouTube, please leave a quick review or comment. I read every one of them. And it truly helps this show grow and reach more former athletes who need to know they're not alone in this next chapter. As a reminder for all the athletes out there who are feeling lost and struggling with identity, remember, you are still and will always be an athlete, and you are not alone.